Hey, what's going on guys? How all you are doing? Welcome to a brand new tutorial from IPinvest in the series of canvas and making a really cool effect using our canvas. So in the last one or the last two tutorials we've spoke about how to render things and set it up and getting started things. So we have set up the project in here we're working on. So everything as you can see here we have covered in the last tutorial. So if you haven't watched them, please make sure to go ahead and watch them before continuing the series in this one. So in this series, what we are going to do actually is doing this really nice cool effect from the text, like showing or filling the whole text with circles. You can do that with triangles, but the circles are really more meaningful. So when you hover them, you're gonna just release them, and when you click spacebar, they all gonna get back and reform the actual text. So it's a really nice effect. For today's tutorial, we're just gonna cover making this one. We're not gonna cover the collision, as you can see, when like freeing or releasing the balls to go and roam on the page. We're just gonna cover how to render out the actual text to appear in a circles form in here, or to fill the whole text with circles. So it's gonna be very simple. So for first things first, so I'm gonna explain what we're actually going to do to achieve that. For that, let me use just this paint thing. So we're gonna have a text, let's say it's going to be hi. So we have hi in here. I don't know how to do that, but it's gonna be very simple. So hi, and we wanna get it like we wanna fill or replace the actual stroke with an actual circles. So for that, we're gonna get the actual position or the each pixel position in here and render, instead of a pixel, render a circle on the pixel and make like an indentation or a spacing between each circle and another. So it's very simple. So create another pixel, actually create a circle instead of pixels, then make or leave a space, then another circle, another one, till we finish that. So to achieve that, actually, we're gonna render out a text like with a color, with a specific color. Let's say a text with a white color or the black color. The text you wanna replace with circles, but never render it actually to the actual user. So you're just gonna create an element or a virtual canvas. You create like a background canvas. You render out the text on it, but it's not gonna appear for you on the actual window when you refresh or do something, because we're not gonna add it to the DOM. So the documents actually. So then we're gonna loop each pixel and replace each pixel, or render out instead of the pixel circles in here, so they would appear exactly that this circle has been formed using circles. So you can use other custom shapes. Let's say you can create a custom star shape. That would be very phenomenal. Making a custom shape, also integrating it to a form to make the shape form actually an actual text. That would be very nice. You can also use many different combinations and stuff, changing colors and all of this kind of things, and also collision is very awesome. So we're just gonna cover that. As you can see, it's very simple. We render out circles instead of text, and we get the pixels position and all of this kind of stuff. So for that, we're going to need to get the actual image data we have rendered. So this is the last from the last tutorial. We don't need this again, or we don't need it anymore in here. So first things first, we're actually going to do is getting the image data and all this kind of stuff and create the background canvas we're gonna use. So create a background canvas. So yeah, we're gonna use this canvas. So we say actually background variable background canvas, and we say documents.create elements. So create elements in here, and we say it's gonna be a canvas element, but we're not gonna just add it to the document itself. So that's why it's not gonna be appearing. So now for the background canvas, we're gonna set the width and height. So width equals window dot inner width, and background canvas dot height equals window dot inner height. Simple as that. Now we need to use that to render out our text. So text rendering, make sure to comment your code, because it's gonna be very difficult for anyone else to read that, and when I upload this to GitHub, it's gonna make it easier for you to read it and walk through the code and understand it and try to do it by yourself. Now creating the text, we're gonna get a context. So let's create variable background context. What simple is that gonna be? Background canvas dot get context. I'm gonna use the 2D context, as you know. So now using the context, I'm gonna render out a text. So text.fonts, we are going to use a simple font actually. So going to be the canvas font. We're gonna use a canvas with impact. So let me copy, just paste. I have already done the code in the background in another monitor in here. So yeah, it's gonna be very easy for me to walk through the code and try to explain like part by part. So step by step actually, and we do the font. So now for the background context, we are going to do font style. We're going to change the actual color of the font, and we're just gonna set this completely to white. So FF, and another FF means a complete white. Then now go back context, fill text. Okay, we do the string, and we're gonna put in here nice. Okay, and the X number we're gonna put about 15 there. So you can choose whatever, but I'm just gonna put 50 and 275 pixels in the Y position. So this is gonna render out the text, but in the background, so we're not gonna actually see it when we refresh. And one thing I forgot about is running the watch for compiling our assets using the Webpack. So don't forget about running the npm run watch in the background in there. Now after rendering the text, we're gonna need to get the image data and loop through that. So for that, I'm gonna create a function. I'm gonna call it init, and that function gonna have kind of the image data and all this kind of stuff. So let's create that. So we need the image data, we need the pixel, and we need the width and the height of the actual text we're gonna loop through. So for the image data, we need to get the image data from the canvas. So the image data equals canvas, or it's called canvas dot gets image, or gets let me check this out again. So it's going to be get something, I don't know, I totally forgot about this. Give me a second. So we are getting the image data by, we say image and arbitrary. Okay, so go the other one, and we actually use the context instead of the canvas itself. Okay, it's very obvious. Then we pass it in the width and the height of the actual canvas. As simple as that. That's how we get the image data. So here what we are doing actually is getting the pixels, the image pixels, or from any portions. You can specify that by the width and height, but you can use or get the whole image of the canvas in the pixels format, and actually you get it all of it in a very simple way. So get image data. We're just gonna use that context to get the actual data. We are calling it in the image context. So get image data, and simple as that. We're gonna call this 0 positions, like format starts right from the top left, or yeah, and we get the whole width and the highlight. So canvas, or actually we are using here the background canvas, like because we have rendered out the text into the background canvas, so we need to use the background canvas instead of the actual canvas itself. So width and background canvas dot height, and we're gonna call this the context, the background context, not the original canvas context, because we're not rendering any text in there. So after getting that image data, let me just move this out of the function in here. The function just gonna loop through every width and height of the pixels. So let's say for height equals 0, height is going to be less than or equals the actual width, because we're gonna loop through each of the canvas or each of the pixels. So we're gonna call it like the heights and plus the denses. So the denses, we're gonna create another variable, and this is gonna be like the gaps between the circles. So let me go back to the examples. You can see there's gaps between each circle here forming the text. So for that, we're gonna specify a variable that will allow us to do these gaps. You can make the circles like a pure stretch, but this is not a good idea. It won't look perfectly nice in there. So dances, you can call it whatever. I'm gonna give this about, I don't know, about 10 or something. We'll try to do this. So gaps. Okay, now for the height, and the height is gonna be less than canvas dot height, and we're gonna have height plus equals, so each time we add a dances, so this is what's gonna be used for. Now we look through the height, then now we look through the width. So width equals 0, gonna be width less than not equals, okay, the background canvas, because we are actually starting from the 0th index, and width, and we're going to say width plus equals dances. Simple as this. Gonna look through the width. Now we get the pixel data. So now we get the actual pixel data, like the pixel color, and this is what we're gonna use, because we're gonna tell it, since we are rendering here a white pixel, like a white text, so we're gonna get each pixel in the text, and we check if the pixel equals to white, like it has a white color, that means we are in the text, so we are good to draw the circle under the text. So you've got the points, it's very simple. So we check out, or actually let's assign a pixel equals, we are using this like image data in here, and we do something, we get the image data actually, and there is a data variable, and we use some kind of formula in here to get the actual data. So we say image data, you get the width plus height plus background canvas dot width, and times for -1. So just put this in there. You don't really need to worry about this. You can tweak, you can do your own possibilities in here. You can change the for, you can tweak the numbers in here, but leave it as it is if you want to get the actual results as I do in my browser in there. So here we're gonna call it the pixel, and we're gonna check whether or not the pixel is in a white color, or the pixel has a white color. So if the pixel is 255 means a white color. So if you are familiar with RGBA color schema, and here we're actually going to call another function gonna draw us the circle. So we're gonna call another function, and that function is going to be actually function, call it something like draw circle. Okay, so we're gonna draw each circle of the position, and it's gonna take two parameters. It's gonna take the x and the y, so where we're actually going to draw the circle. So it's very simple, and this x and y are gonna be the pixel. The pixel will have pix in here, so we're gonna pass in the height and the width, and those are storing our pixel data. So the pixel positions of the actual text, since they are 255, which means we are over the text, so we're ready to draw the circle under the text to form text using circles. Very obvious. So for that, we're gonna do a normal way of drawing things, like the context and stuff. So now we're gonna use the actual context, our objects, or the actual context of the canvas. So context is gonna call this begin path. Okay, begin path, and do a context dot, here we're gonna do the context style. So context, since we are going to draw a fill, so I'm going to use the fill style, and I'm going to just put for now a yellow. So just for now, for testing purposes, and context gonna be the fill. Simple as that. Or before that is actually drawing the actual circle. So we use the arc. So arc, put the x number gonna be the same x, and then y, the radius, and let me just define a global variable for each circle to have the same radius. So circle radius going to be about 6. Okay, gonna be very small. So you have circle radius, then we have a start angle gonna be 0. We have already talked about this. So math.pi times 2 and false. Now it should draw us a filled circle on each position. Now I need to call this now. Enter here, draw a circle with a width, and remember the width is the X position and the height is the Y position. So very obvious actually, because we loop through each line, then we loop on each column. This or on the row, the height is gonna represent the row and the width gonna represent the columns. If you are familiar with grids and looping through grids and stuff like this, so it's gonna be very simple as I've said. We're just gonna pass in here, and that should draw us a circle. And now what we can do actually is test things. So we should see something. So all we need to do now is draw things and see what we have got so far. So Control P, opening default browser. This should open up in the default browser, and we've got nothing. So let's see what's going on. The console get image data is not a function under the background context. So I'm using get image data as. Okay, this is not really what we want. Okay, get image data. Try again. And nothing to render out at all. So we've got something in here. So now after editing our code and fixing the problem, the rendering is working fine, but we have edited the code a bit to make it looks a bit more efficient, and like we optimize it for rendering, and it's gonna help us a lot on our next tutorial, like the 4th episode, to render a lot of circles and updating them and animating them. So in this in this tutorial we're just gonna render them. They're not gonna move, so we're not using the update function, but here we have declared the circles a variable, or actually an array. So this is gonna hold up all the circles on there, and the circles are gonna push a new circle which is gonna have the X position and the Y position as I showed you. I'm gonna talk about this in the next tutorial, so keep that in mind. And we have another function is the render circles. Now instead of rendering them in here, we are actually rendering. So let me just comment this one, because we're gonna use this one in the next video tutorial. This is just for velocity and start X and start Y. It doesn't really matter for now. So we have another function. This is gonna handle the rendering process, which means adding the arc and the begin path and close path and fill in style and all of this kind of stuff is going to happen on this render circle. On in here we call the draw circle as we have done in each pixel. So we draw things, or we push each circle on the array, then on the render one we're going to loop on each one like the circles dot length, then we render them to the screen. As simple as that. When we call the render circles with the circles array here, because we are specifying which array, we can use the array because it's a global array, but I've made this for you. If you want to change the code a bit to suit your needs, you can do that very easily for rendering. And remember the arc for the global X and the global Y and radius and all this kind of stuff. And the problem that we haven't done here or there or something is because we haven't added the background begin path. So make sure to add that context begin path before rendering the fonts, like the background fonts that we're using for knowing the pixels, then drawing up on these pixels circles. So as simple as this, we've done that. And initializing, make sure to call the initialize things, create an array and push its circles in here. We're using just the global X, and then render this out and call the render function on the end after doing all of this kind of stuff. So now control save, make sure to compile it or bundle it since you're using Webpack in here, then and make sure to call the circles up here, because if you call them down there, it's not gonna be indefined for them. So just make sure to call them before the init function and everything gonna be alright. So alright, now everything should looks fine. Control save, now refresh. You should see a nice text on the screen rendered for us using circles. So as simple as this, we've got this text on the screen. It's just very fast, just getting the pixels, drawing up on the pixels, and yeah, boom, we've got the text in here. But it's not doing anything, it just standing still in there. There's no animation, there's no update function, it's not moving, nothing at all. what we're going to do in the next one is updating them and checking the collision with the mouse. Like when we do hover it with the mouse, we're gonna check the collision, also the collision with the window, like the border of the window. We're not gonna like limit the balls to the actual window borders, the width and height. And as simple as this, we've got the render text. So in the second part, or you can call the next episode, we're going to talk about the collision and how to check it, and the function responsible for checking the collision between two circles. Then we draw in a circle or surrounding the mouse and all this kind of stuff to update and animate our circles in here. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you really enjoy this one. If you have any problems, issues, anything, just post it in the comment below. I'll be very happy to, respond to you and do whatever you need to do. So make sure to put in the comments in there any tutorials you suggest for me. I'll be very happy to record or do the best I can. Make sure to become a Patreon if you like, subscribe to the channel, share the video.